sound of that? That's Stormy Anise blowing, still blowing through. I don't know if it's over the other, if these are already the tailwinds. Anyway, the power is out. The internet is spectacularly low. I think I just about have 3G, so I can't really work. And that means I have daylight for the garage. So I'm going on a journey. A journey of pure shoddiness. Right. Before I take up the ceiling here, I need to sort out the lighting upstairs so that it's already in place for when there is no ceiling and I need light in the garage to work there at night and stuff. Anyway, so this is the consumer unit in the garage. Again, at the moment it doesn't have any power, the LED's out, but in case it comes back sometime today or while I'm working here, I'm just gonna deactivate all of this. Right, now I need to find the circuit upstairs and then start wiring in new lights. So let's I'm gonna follow this up here. So there's the wire there, more wire just terminating there, and then there's the incredibly creative lighting solution here. Anyway, so what I want to do while I have daylight to work in and no power to use any major tools, I can do some wiring. So I don't know if I mentioned this before. What I want to do is to have spotlights pretty much in every, is it third bay? So one here, the next one next to this window, then once again 3 times, or 3 bays, 2 bays, whatever, over, and so on, so on. So I'm just going to go and start cutting cables or wires, thread them between the roofing membrane and the rafters, and connect the lamp fixings or spotlight fixings, so that that's all done when the power comes back and it's getting dark again. I also need to, of course, wire the connection for the light switch, and then figure out if I just want to use how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I want to use 6 lights with just one switch, or if I want to have several, like three switches, 2 switch, 6 lights, I guess in groups of 2. And boy howdy, it is cold. It's 5 degrees in here, allegedly. Strangely enough, the humidity is down 78%, but it's breezy in the garage. Like, there's leaks everywhere and the draft is just ripping through the place. So what I've done is I've isolated the supply wire. Just going back to the power source, or near enough. That's a whole other story, the mess down there with the wires. In any case, I don't yet know how many wires I really need up here, how many lights rather I really need. My original thought was to like space them out so that I would have like every second rafter center would have a spotlight, but that might be complete brightness overkill for a space that's mostly only going to be storage. But first, since this is the supply wire, I need to wire in the switch so that the power goes to the switch first, stops there when the switch is open, and flows when the switch is closed. The switch, however, is down there, and it's somewhere in this mess here, I believe, so I have to now suss out where that wire terminates and wrestle it out. Now I'm working with the existing wiring, right? So that means I have my supply wire here, and the live vein or the live wire of the supply cable goes into the neutral vein of my switch here. Now that runs all the way to the switch, and this is the live vein, I guess, of the switch wire. and if the switch is flicked, this will in fact be live. This is the neutral vein of the supply wire, and this is the two earth wires of both wires put together and fit into one Wago clip. What that means is, for the purposes of my light circuit, this live wire here is, as a matter of fact, live, or will be live. So I'm going to connect the light up there, the first of the spotlights, and of course the other one needs to go in neutral for the circuit to be closed and electricity to flow. There we are. Bevel. Put a GU10 LED light in there and connect this to the fixing. Let it dangle while I connect up the next one. Storm's still going, of course, but I've now rewired all of these. So there's now 5 lights in total at every third rafter center. It's probably about, I don't know, 1.6 or 1.8 meters apart, which is fine. Everything else would have been spaced too closely, so it would have been kind of like light overkill. This is a good light saturation now. I might neaten up the wires sometime in the future, I might not, since this is all going back behind ceiling panels. I'm just going to quickly have a look at my wire connections here. Now I'll definitely need to rewire the switch wire when everything here goes in place, kind of like route it around up there somehow through the floor so it doesn't hang in the middle of the room. In any case, so this is my wiring solution up here. This is my supply wire that feeds into one of these little Wago clips and then to the switch, and then this here is the supply wire for all of those lights, of course. That is also on the switch, as well as the one solar light that's hanging there. Again, this is looking pretty, I guess, rat's nesty. I might get some bigger Wago clips just to neaten this up a little bit, because yeah, it doesn't look much better than what was here before. Am I kidding? Of course it does. At least there's only one rat's nest. Now the last wiring job I wanted to get done before picking up the floorboards here is just rearranging where the power outlets are, because they're all over the place, and of course tons of dangling loose wire where it really doesn't need to be. Also, I want to reposition them. So I want to have the power outlet square in the rafter center that's sitting under the windows. So one here and one opposite, which is this rafter center here. That's that switch. This one here needs to be moved in there, and that means I have to unscrew that and then thread the wire in there so that the power outlet is dangling there between those two rafters. This also is the center rafter, because they're an uneven number, and that means I want that one there opposite, so that needs to be moved there. The one on the far side dangling here, I want this moved under that window, and similar, this power outlet here under this window, because this one and that one are adjacent. They're on the third rafter center from the wall. Now arguably that's unnecessary work, like it doesn't make a difference in terms of power output, but it makes the whole thing just more symmetrical, and that's important to me. Excuse the storm sound. Now in terms of how this works, this transfer, it's pretty damn simple with the camera here. All I need to do for starters is just get the front or the face off, test for power. I did turn the breaker off downstairs, but of course before touching anything that looks like a wire, and one wants to make sure that it's not live, because that might sting a little. Oh, there we go, no light, deader than out of this. Next, unscrew everything. Get those wires out of there. Pain in the ass with these old-timey sockets and old-timey installers is, I don't know if this was actually done by a real electrician. If it was, then my goodness, is that the earth wires don't have their own sleeve, and they just always twisted them together and then sleeved them manually. So one has to do this every single time. That's really quite annoying. Anyway, let's get him out of there. I'll now move this fellow, and I think I want it here. Let's see. There's the window. This is the center. The center. Right. Now, of course, there's all the timber there, but that shouldn't be an issue. One hopes. So this one should be easy enough. This just needs to be pulled back a little. I should probably neaten these wires up a little, because especially the earth wire looks shocking. And it's got to do what one's got to do. There we go. Just nip that off. And this guy and those fellas. Next, just expose the ends again. And now pull the other side over. And something rather critical just occurred to me. At the moment, and this is what I wanted to repeat, these wires are threaded there between the roofing membrane and the purlins on the other side and the rafters instead of on the inside, and it's the same with the wiring. Like I've repeated that mistake, and the reason why I'm calling it a mistake is my long-term plan is to put solar panels onto this roof here, because it faces pretty much south. It's ideally located to capture a lot of daylight, and if that is anchored, like if whatever rack the solar panels are sitting on is anchored into the rafters, which it should be, and there's a good chance that if the installers don't know, if I've forgotten or misjudge where those wires are running, that there's some kind of fixing, like a nail or a screw, is going through the wire, which will kill the light in here. So what I have to do, starting down here, is I'm just going to re-thread these completely. I'm going to get them out of between the rafters and the outside roof shell, and then we'll run the wires on the inside where they can be tucked away behind wall panels and or ceiling panels. That's, I think, preferable than having them there where they're vulnerable to any sort of mechanical fixings. Should have thought about that sooner. One other change I'm making is where the chain of socket starts. So initially this wire here ran all the way over there, then to the next one over, next one over, next one over, and so on, until this socket here is supplied by a wire that's from all the way over there. Since I'm moving the socket away from where it was initially to under this window here, which also happens to be right above the consumer unit, granted, that one's going to be moved there soon, but it's fine, the wire is long enough to reach still. So I'm going to start a chain here with this socket, and then the last one will just terminate over there. It is now dark outside. Of course, the storm's still going, but this is what the lighting situation in here is now like, and I'd say that's pretty nice, even illumination. It might look a little murkier down the end, but all these lights are just dangling there a lot lower than I think they're actually gonna be once they're installed. And one good thing about these bevels is that they have I think a 30-degree tilt, so when they're installed I can either tilt them up or tilt them down, and that's going to help. So in terms of power sockets, I've now rewired them so that the mouse nest or rat's nest of wires that was here is now gone, and they're situated roughly where I want them to be. So here's the window, and there's my power socket. Similar over here, window, power socket there, nicely in the middle there, and all of the wires still have enough slack in them to make minor adjustments when the time comes to put in walls and ceiling panels and actually install them for good. There is enough slack in the system to allow for really generous adjustments, so that's good. Now it is dark, of course, so I can't really switch off the light to work on rerouting the cables or the wires out here between the roofing membrane and the rafters. I'll have to do that possibly tomorrow when I have daylight again and can turn the power off. It is so damn cold. Seems like we've had an absolute arse ton of storms, like in the space of 2 weeks. There was Dudley, Eunice, now who was the last one? Franklin, and now Gladys. And they always bring snow, hail, and really low temperatures, well, for this country anyway. So it seems like I'm stuck. I can't concrete and I can't paint the floor. Holding pattern